X equals Y, the return is true. Financial advice made
And
for
money.
you. Money in your wallet you can take to the bank. See the market climb with your credit rate. When money's
Money.
tight, you don't need to worry. You got that right, you're on
And money.
the money. When the time
Money.
is right in the market trend, put your money in stock at a dividend.
money.
Defensive stock and a capital gain. Take the ride on the gravy train. When money's
Money.
tight, you don't need to worry. You got that right, you're on
And
the
money.
money.
Thanks for coming back. Aidan Doyle back with you, episode 5 of On the Money. Now, you may sense a pattern in what we're doing on the show. I'll always have a clever intro to the subject matter of the show. Excuse me a second, I've just got to open my drawer. I locked the information in there. Actually, this is the information. Today's show is about leverage. And as anyone out there should know, hopefully, this is a crowbar. Now, leverage, what does that mean? It means taking a tool and using it to increase and empower your ability to do things, such as a crowbar. In financial, excuse me, that really wore me out. Excuse me a second. In financial terms, it's used extensively in the marketplace. So I'm going to show you how and why you should be using it. And then I'm going to explain to those homeowners out there that you are in fact using it. Come with me to my box of tricks. By the way, I really want to tell you, I appreciate you guys, those loyal viewers out there that wrote to me and visited my website, for hanging in there with me. This is going to get more interesting as we get past the basic episodes of the show. But the shows you're going to see, I guess, through 1 to 10 are going to be sort of, I don't know, personal finance 101. So, this one is a good one though. Trust me when I tell you, most people, if you throw this expression at them, unless they work in the lower canyons of Manhattan, namely Wall Street, they'll be at a loss to understand why it applies to them. It does, and I'll tell you why. Leverage is the use of an instrument. Let's say, let me give you an example, okay? The example I prefer to use is the example that everyone will understand, which is home ownership. We keep coming back to that, and the reason we keep coming back to it is the one situation in your life, in your financial future or your financial horizon, that affects you the most. Leverage is taking a tool, which is in most cases money, and using that tool to increase your ability to control something else. Okay, that's going to sound very confusing, but I'm going to give you an example that probably enlightens and informs. Everyone knows that if you buy a home, your first time in, let's sit down for a second. The first time in when you buy a home, you're going to be asked to pay a deposit on a mortgage. Let's say, for example, the figures are 100, to keep numbers easy to understand. The home ownership, the property is $100,000. You'll probably be asked to pay 5, maybe 10% of that amount. Ergo, you'll pay $10,000. You'll have to come out of pocket for $10,000. That is your deposit. That's your initial investment in the property. Now, what actually has happened there is you've bought something for 100 grand, but you've only paid, or you've only had to find 10,000. So therefore, the 90,000 is your leverage. It is what's been assigned to you effectively as a loan, as credit, okay? And it's controlled by your friend of mine, Uncle Sam. Every time we do these shows, you're going to find a pattern. I develop the topic and the subjects for a reason. You'll see that if you read between the lines, the feds, Uncle Sam, Apple Pie, they want you to aspire. He wants you to be socially and economically sound. Okay, here's the mortgage example. Stay with me, this is very basic. $100,000 mortgage. That's your home. We are assuming that figure because it's easy. Let's say the deposit is 10%. That means you've got to find $10,000. Now, that's what you've spent. Nothing's happened yet. It's day one, you just moved into your home. Okay, what happens if property prices go up 20%? Simple figures here. Okay, this is why leverage is excuse me, this is why leverage is important, because it magnifies your ability to make money. If the property values, and I don't mean to get numerate and statistical with you guys, but you have to understand this principle because it applies to every business and every effort you'll make in life. Magnify your ability. Use tools to delegate and empower yourself over and above the amount of hours in your day. Okay, 20%. That would mean, tell me if I'm doing my math here, that you made $20,000. Your property just went up to $120,000, right? Therefore, you have an asset that's worth $120,000. But wait a minute, you only put 10 grand on the table. So, effectively, you've made 200%. Isn't that right? You've made your 10 grand and another, actually no, you've made 100%. You've made 100% profit. Now, the property value only went up 20%, but you made 100%. That is leverage. That's because you have put yourself in a position where you've made it, your dollar controls 10 more dollars in front of it. Now, from a business point of view, this isn't used much. It's used primarily in investments and it's controlled by regulations from Uncle Sam. Before I go any further, I want to make something clear to you. This is physics more than finance. Actually, Archimedes, the philosopher, or whatever he was, physicist, insisted that, sorry, I'm on two, insisted that if you had a lever long enough, you can move the world. Well, we're not trying to move the world, but we're trying to increase our ability to make money. Okay. I'm going to stop talking about leverage for a minute because I want to talk about a few other things. When I had the pilot for this show, I had 3 episodes in the can. There were the three that I was going to start with, and they've remained they remained a labor of love. I've done 2 of them, okay? I've done my favorite, which is Where You At, which was, to use one of my colleagues' expression, lambasting Boost Mobile for their policies and their marketing campaigns, which are racist and divisive, etc. How you doing, Boost Mobile? I did Playing the Numbers, which is a comparison in very, very numerate terms between legal and illegal numbers, and I always want to do leverage, which is where we're at right now. Okay, it's this simple. If you want to buy, if you're convinced that if you buy a stock in IBM, it will make money, you can buy the stock that you have the cash in your hand for, and then the feds will allow you to buy another same amount again on credit. So there are tools out there that will give you the opportunity to make the best you can out of your financial future, okay? I'm going to stop for a minute because I have a personal beef with someone, and it's this. This is going to happen during the show, but this is a forum for me, and I insist on doing this. I had a contact, a reference, a communication with Black Enterprise magazine, who you don't need me to tell are a industry leader in minority publications, and simply put, my intention was to provide them some content, perhaps submit an article, send a little soundbite to their TV or internet site. But I was told, and I quote, that whilst I had the academic basis and the presentation, they didn't like my logo. Okay. Now, I asked the guys in the back control room to put my logo up at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to ask them to try and flash it for us right now, if we can, so that everyone out there can see what we're talking about. Okay. If that's done successfully, you should see it. Well, it's actually coming out underneath me. I can see it on the monitor. This logo is actually a bullseye with a dartboard with a